Hey guys, it's me again, Eric here at Mountaintop 9, and I thought I'd take some time to talk about a movie that came out in 1982 called Trick or Treats. Now, the deal with this movie is it's kind of hard to classify, and I think it has a bad rap, and the reason is because many people go in expecting this to be a slasher flick. It is anything but a slasher. Hell, it's even hard to classify this as a straight horror film. It's more of a, I don't even know what the hell to call it. All I know is that I like it for some strange reason. It has some good qualities about it, but is it horror? Is it slasher? Not really, man. There are only 2 deaths in the entire film, and there's barely any blood at all. So if you're going in expecting to see a lot of stalk and slash, if you're expecting a lot of blood to be spilled, anything of that nature, you're going to be disappointed. And I think that's why this movie has been kind of derided over the years and why it's been so badly reviewed. But let's get into the plot. Let me tell you a little bit about it. So the movie starts out in this really nice neighborhood. You see that this man and his wife live in a big fancy house and they have a nice swimming pool and they're sitting out on their back porch. He's reading the newspaper and the woman's just kind of sitting there. Little does he know that his wife is going to have him committed to a mental asylum against his goddamn will. He doesn't even know what's about to unfold. She's already made the damn arrangements. She has these 2 guys show up. They're in their white jumpsuits like something out of a fucking Looney Tunes cartoon. And they've got a straitjacket with them, and they've got handcuffs and all this shit. And they come around the back porch and totally take this guy by surprise. Now, he looks, when he's sitting there reading his newspaper, he looks calm enough. It doesn't look like there's anything wrong with him. But when they descend upon him, to put the straitjacket on and everything, he starts running across the back porch, across by the swimming pool, and he's making all these animalistic noises, and he's getting real barbaric and loud, trying to climb the damn tree to get away from him. So, you can take that as 2 ways. You can say, well, he's acting kind of insane there. He really does seem like he's going off the fucking deep end. On the other hand, you can also say, hey, if I was sitting on my back porch, calmly doing a crossword puzzle or reading the paper or whatever, playing tic-tac-toe on my dick, whatever the hell you may be doing, if suddenly 2 guys from the local insane asylum show up and they've got a goddamn straitjacket and they want to cart you away, I'm thinking that might get my dander up a little bit too. That might make me want to jump around and fucking run and kind of get crazy, you know what I mean? Because you want to resist that. So it's kind of hard to tell. Is this guy really, is he really a nutcase? Or is he just fighting these guys? Is he just totally taken by surprise and he's like, why the hell are these guys here? So anyway, they finally subdue him. They finally subdue this poor prick. We learn that his name is Malcolm and his wife's name is Joan. And Joan's just sitting over there as her husband is groveling on the ground. He's crying and he's going, he's basically saying, why? Why? What's going on? He's totally heartbroken. He's about to be taken to a fucking nut house. And meanwhile, his wife Joan is just kind of standing over there looking really smug, She has this shit-eating grin creeping upon her face, probably because she knows she'll be getting deep-dicked soon enough by whatever fucking guy is going to come over within the next 48 hours. So the guy gets carted off, and we learn that he ends up staying in that damn mental institution. So apparently he must have been psychotic in some shape, manner, or form, or else they wouldn't be able to just put him up in there and throw away the key. Now, fast forward 4 long years, Malcolm has been locked away in this mental institution this whole damn time, and his wife has moved on with a new guy, and his name is Richard, and he's played by the actor David Carradine. And let me tell you, he does a good job in this movie performing as he's like a real lecherous type guy. He's a sleazy dude, and that really comes across on the screen. It just oozes out of the screen when you look at this guy. Just his mannerisms, the way he talks to the babysitter later when she shows up, but we'll get to that soon enough. Meanwhile, we learn that Malcolm has a son with his wife, and his son is named Christopher. Christopher loves to play practical jokes. He wants to be a magician when he grows up, so he has Houdini posters on his wall. This kid is fucking rich too, so he gets to indulge in all of this kind of stuff. He's got a goddamn pinball machine in his room. He's got a nice ventriloquist dummy and all manner of magician tricks and gadgets. He's even got a goddamn guillotine in his room. And on Halloween night, what ends up happening is that Joan and Richard want to attend some kind of overnight party of some sort. Now this is the part I don't understand. Why don't Joan and Richard just stay home on Halloween night and have a romantic night at home? I think it's because they want to go to some sort of orgy or maybe do some fucking wife swapping. But I'll tell you what, Joan's pretty hot. Richard should just take her up to the bedroom and have a nice romantic night up there. She can pull down her panties, put that ass in the air, and they'd have a grand old time. No reason to go out. Stay at home, save time and money, have doggy style, take the panties down, and have a good fucking time. That's just my opinion. But anyway, they get this real pretty blonde girl named Linda to come over and babysit. And when Linda gets there, Richard, the new husband, he comes over and tries to unzip her top and tries to flirt with her and all this shit while his wife Joan is upstairs. This guy's got some balls on him, I gotta tell you. I mean, it's one thing to flirt with a girl when your wife isn't around. You know, you can picture that because then there's less fear, less inhibition. But this fucking guy's doing it while his wife is in the other damn room. But moving on a little bit, after Joan and Richard leave, Linda soon finds out that this boy Christopher is just gonna put her through her paces. I mean, the practical jokes just come fast and furious. You know, he hides behind furniture and pops out at her wearing all kinds of masks. There's a really cool part where he appears at a window, he throws this smoke bomb down, and then he stands up outside this glass window and he's wearing a really cool mask there. I really like that one. He also pretends that he drowns in a swimming pool and that freaks her the fuck out. There's also this part that really kind of gets under my skin. There's this part where he has a butcher knife and he's like chopping sausage, okay? And the way they compose this scene, the way they do it, it really makes you kind of on edge. It gets you tense because you're afraid that this kid's gonna cut himself. Even though you know the film crew is there, you know there's a director, there's all kinds of professionals surrounding this kid on set, it still makes you nervous when you see him with this butcher knife cutting, slicing through this sausage, getting closer and closer to his goddamn thumb. Well, soon enough, you see that he does a practical joke where he makes it look like his thumb gets cut off, and Linda falls for it again. I mean, it's amazing throughout this movie how many of Christopher's jokes she falls for, and she always gets this ultra frightened look on her face. It's really comical at times how the camera will like zoom in on her sort of as she gets all wide-eyed and her mouth goes agape and she has this frightened look like a deer caught in the damn headlights. I really like the dynamic between Christopher and Linda. It's really fun watching them go back and forth. You know, he's playing tricks on her, she's reacting with fear and then anger because she gets really pissed off. And you'll notice that once it gets further into the movie, eventually she finds a bottle of wine in the fridge and pours herself a glass, and she starts to kind of mellow out a little bit. You start to see a nice synthesis between the two of them where, you know, she kind of starts to give it back to him a little bit. She tries to play a few tricks on him, and it seems like they kind of develop sort of a bond, you know what I mean? And that's pretty cool. The acting in this movie is really good. I have no complaints at all in the acting department when it comes, especially between those two, Linda and Christopher. They are just spot on for the most part. Now, moving on, let's get to the other important part of this movie. While Christopher is tormenting Linda all night long in this house alone on Halloween night, Malcolm, Joan's ex-husband, has taken it upon himself to break out of the goddamn shithouse that he's been locked in for 4 long years. And what he does is he subdues one of the nurses, okay? And he puts on a wig and puts on her nurse's outfit. And he slips out of the institution and he makes his way back towards his house. He wants to get revenge on Joan for having him carted off and locked in a sanitarium for all these years. She's ruined his goddamn life and he wants to make that bitch pay dearly. Eventually Malcolm does show up at the house and that's when there's a final battle. And I won't spoil the very ending, you know, how that all goes down. I want you to watch the movie if you've never seen it. But meanwhile, let's get into some different aspects of this movie. Let's delve into it a little bit. I have some shit I want to say about it. First, I want to go over a couple things that I really appreciate about this film, and that is the cinematography and the atmosphere. First of all, the setting, that house on Halloween night, the lighting is spot on, it's perfect. I like the multicolored lights that they use to light the house when it's shot from the exterior during those nighttime sequences. It just looks so good, and that kind of draws you in and it makes you feel like you're watching a horror movie. And then the indoor shots when the when the babysitter, Linda, when she's left there alone and she's walking around and she's picking up the phone, she's getting the phone calls, she's being tormented by Chris at the same time. All of this stuff, that gives you a good horror movie feeling. This movie just has a really good professional look to it. Not big budget or anything, not like you're watching a goddamn superhero movie, but it has a professional horror movie look. A nice low budget look, but with sheen, so I like that. It's well lit and every shot is well composed. But now let's delve into some of the things that draw this movie down and keep it from reaching that next level on the horror film rung. First of all, the casting of the husband, Malcolm. The guy that they have playing Malcolm, he's just too bumbling. His performance is too humorous. He just seems like this bumbling type guy. He seems like a fucking joke. He doesn't exude a feeling of, of power, or of evil or malicious intent. You don't get that from him. He just comes across as a total goofball. And that's too bad, because I feel like this movie would have been a lot better if the killer seemed like an imposing guy, seemed like a guy who was actually dangerous. This guy doesn't really come across as a psychotic, homicidal maniac. He comes across as a goofball who got wrongfully institutionalized. You never find out in this movie why he was locked up. I mean, why did Joan have him locked up? The movie does not point out why this guy was deemed insane. And that doesn't make sense to me. It seems like, I don't even think something like that can happen in this day and age, that a person can just be carted off for no rhyme or reason. I think people have a little bit more rights than that. Maybe I'm wrong. But, yeah, this guy is no George Tatum, alright? Like the guy from Nightmare. I mean, he came across as a psychopath. When you watch Nightmare, for instance, you're afraid of that character. You're like, that guy seems dangerous. Or the guy in Maniac, Frank Zito, played by Joe Spinell. That guy seems dangerous. This dude in this movie, Malcolm, he doesn't seem dangerous. He just seems like some goofy piece of shit, okay, that wants to get revenge on his fucking wife for having him locked up against his damn will. So when you boil all this shit down to its basic essence, you're left with nothing. There's nothing to fear with this guy, okay? So anyone who's into slashers, alright, and is watching this movie, they're gonna check out when they see who the killer is. And it's really sad because we have these nice tension-building shots of Linda picking up that ringing telephone in the house all alone on Halloween night. And you're thinking to yourself, oh, it's going to be some really scary dude on the other end of the line. And, he's going to taunt her and he's going to terrorize her before he descends upon the house. Meanwhile, he's going to cut all these people down in his path. But no, you don't get that. She picks up the phone and what you see on the other end is Malcolm's dumbass. And he isn't scary. So we've got that out of the way. The guy who is supposed to be the antagonist is not scary in any shape or form. So that takes you out of it. That ruins it. That lessens the movie, okay? It makes it comical. Now, another thing that goes against this movie is the music score. It's really terrible shit. It's a mixture of different horse shit that really gets on my fucking nerves. To give you a good example of what I'm talking about, at the end of the movie, when Linda is being pursued by Malcolm's crazy ass, when he's chasing after her, and he thinks that she's Joan because he's such an idiot, the music, instead of playing some really cool synthesizer stuff to really just ram the tension home, instead of doing that, it's playing some orchestral stuff with a trumpet blaring or some shit. I'm not sure if it's a trumpet or something else, but whatever it is, it's not fear-inducing. It's not frightening in any way, I'll tell you that much. Also, there's like some smooth, soft jazz type sounds. That doesn't fill you with dread, okay? That's not frightening. And then there's like some needle drop, library type music, you know, some pling and plong type bullshit in other sequences. None of this stuff, the orchestral stuff that's in here, sometimes orchestral stuff, you know, those big sweeping type scores, sometimes that can be really good. But when you're talking a slasher type film in an intimate setting at at a house on Halloween night with a babysitter, you don't want to hear this type of score. You don't want to hear jazzy sounding stuff. You don't want to hear big orchestrated type bullshit. You don't want to hear trumpets blaring from the heavens like God himself is coming down from above. That's not what you want to hear. So the music just doesn't deliver on the fear at all. It does not make you feel like you're watching a horror film. So the music doesn't work. So that's another strike against the film. And last but not least, another thing that brings this movie down and makes it seem less like a horror film is the fact that only one damn person gets murdered by Malcolm, okay? He only kills one person, and the only reason he kills them is because he thinks that it's Joan. He thinks it's his fucking wife. But turns out it's not. It's just a friend of Linda's that came over to drop over a videotape or some bullshit. So he accidentally kills her, and he even acts all remorseful after he does it. So this movie just doesn't deliver the goods when it comes to kills. So that's the thing. I think we're going to come full circle here now, and I'm going to give you my final summation of this film. I like Trick or Treats. I think that this is a good movie, and if I was rating it on the 4-star system, you know, using that classic rating system of 1 through 4, I would give it, I think I'd give it 2.5 stars. I really do. I think 2 would be too low. Obviously, 3 would be too high. But I think this movie, for what it is, I think it deserves 2.5. It's not a boring movie. I've seen reviews of this movie where people say it's boring. Well, the only way it would be boring is if you're expecting to see hacked off limbs and fucking heads in the refrigerator and all kinds of macabre shit. You're not going to get that in this movie. So rule that out. Push that aside, get that out of your goddamn mind. What I've realized after watching this movie a few times is that it has certain trappings of a horror film, certain window dressing. You know, it has the babysitter alone on Halloween night, it has the kid playing pranks, and it has the mysterious phone calls. But besides that, it's not a horror film. I don't really know how to classify this movie because it isn't a horror film in the purest sense. I don't know what to call this movie. I guess you could call it a thriller, maybe? There's just not enough oomph to make it a horror flick. I mean, you're not afraid of the killer at all. He is a stupid idiot. You know, I mean, he can't even tell who his goddamn wife is. I know it's been 4 years, dude, and you've been jacking off in a sanitarium all this time, but you should still be able to discern and tell who your wife is. God, this guy's a moron. But anyway, you're not afraid of that guy. The score is totally off and is not a horror film score, and things just come across a little bit too comical at times. But it's not a comedy. So you can't call this movie a comedy either, and you can't call it a drama because it's obviously way too low budget and B-movie-esque to fit into that mold. No, God damn it, I guess you'd have to call this a horror movie. That's the only place to lump this movie, and it certainly has some of the most important trappings. It's just too bad that they couldn't have cast the killer better, alright? They should have cast someone who was more imposing and more sinister. That would have made the movie much better. Even if the body count still would have remained low, at least you would have feared the killer a little bit more just by his presence alone. So that's the biggest thing to me in this movie. That's the biggest detriment. But overall, yeah, Trick or Treats is not a boring movie. Don't be misled by people who say that it's boring. It's actually pretty fun. But anyway, if you want to get this movie, the easiest way to get it is the Code Red DVD. If you can find it, definitely pick it up. It's worth having. Also, Vestron put it out on VHS in the 80s, and that's where I remember it the most from when I was a kid. You know, it has sort of a similar cover. You know, it kind of makes you think of Chopping Mall. You know what I mean? The cover's a little bit similar to Chopping Mall. So when I was a kid, I'd sometimes get the covers confused. But they couldn't be more different. I mean, obviously, Chopping Mall is about fucking robots on the rampage. But this movie's fun. Definitely give it a try. I mean, don't expect it to be a slasher flick. Don't expect to see gallons of blood. Just soak up that nice early 80s atmosphere, okay? Appreciate the photography and just appreciate the lighting and the good acting. I think those are the elements that you'll appreciate most if you watch this movie with an open mind. So anyway, guys, I thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you again next time. And I'll see you again next time. And I'll see you again next time.